Picture this. You're in the grocery store. Your child is standing in the cart, red-faced, shaking, tears dripping off their chin. People are staring. You can feel your heart pounding because you know exactly what's coming next. Another meltdown. Another scene. Another moment where you whisper, "Please, not here." And like every parent, you try all the things you've been told to try. You say, use your words. You try to distract them. You threaten consequences. You offer a snack. You try to stay calm. But the harder you try to stop the tantrum, the louder your child gets. Their body stiffens. Their breathing changes. And suddenly you're not even sure what triggered all of this. And then comes the guilt. Why is this still happening? What am I missing? Parents everywhere go through this exact moment every single day. But here's what most people never realize. Sometimes what looks like a tantrum isn't a tantrum at all. It's something deeper, something quieter, something most parents completely miss. But here's what actually happened. Your child wasn't being dramatic. They were trying to cope with anxiety. Today, I'm going to show you the subtle signs nearly every parent overlooks and the counterintuitive approach that finally works. Let me ask you something. When your child has a meltdown, what's the first thing you try? Most parents try to fix the behavior. You try to stop the crying, stop the screaming, stop the chaos. Because that's what we were all taught. Stop the tantrum and move on. But here's the truth. Trying to shut down a tantrum is like trying to put a lid on a pot of boiling water. The pressure doesn't disappear. It just builds until it spills over again. And here's what kills me. Parents blame themselves for this. You think you're not patient enough, not calm enough, not consistent enough. But the reason your current approach never works is simple. You're treating the wrong problem. A tantrum caused by frustration looks very different from a tantrum caused by anxiety. But on the outside, they look almost identical. And most parenting advice online doesn't teach you to tell the difference. It tells you what to do, but not why your child is doing it. Now, here's the part that might sting a little. Your child isn't trying to manipulate you. They aren't acting out for attention. They aren't testing boundaries. When anxiety is involved, their brain is in survival mode. Literally, their amygdala. The alarm system of the brain goes into overdrive. It's the same part of the brain that alerts adults during a panic attack. So when your child melts down, they're not being bad. They're drowning in a wave of emotions their brain physically can't handle in the moment. Think of it like this. Imagine someone pushed you into deep water and said, "Just breathe normally." It wouldn't work. You'd gasp, flail, panic. Not because you're dramatic, but because your nervous system would take over. That's exactly what happens in an anxiety-driven tantrum. The nervous system hijacks the moment. And here's the shocking part. Most tantrums that seem random, the ones that come out of nowhere, are actually anxiety-based. Your child may not have the words to tell you what's wrong. So instead of saying, "I'm scared," "I'm overwhelmed," or "this is too much," they show you the only way their brain knows how, with a meltdown. But this is where most parents unintentionally make it worse. You try to reason, you try to explain, you try to tell them why they don't need to be upset. But a brain in survival mode cannot hear logic. It cannot process language. It cannot learn new behavior. And this is where everything shifts. Because once you understand that anxiety-driven tantrums aren't about behavior, but about emotional overload, everything changes. The question is no longer, how do I stop the tantrum? The real question becomes, what is my child's nervous system trying to tell me? And once you learn that, the entire dynamic between you and your child transforms. Anxiety versus tantrums, what it really means. So let's break down the core idea. Anxiety-driven tantrums follow a different pattern than typical tantrums. And neuroscience has been telling us this for years, but most parents never hear about it. Think about it like this. A typical tantrum is a reaction. An anxiety-driven meltdown is a response to overload. One is about wanting something. The other is about escaping something. Now let's look at the framework that explains all of this, a concept used widely in developmental neuroscience and even in Japanese early childhood education. Co-regulation before correction. Japanese educators use this principle constantly because they believe a child must borrow the calm of an adult before their brain can return to balance. Let me show you the 4 pillars of this framework. Pillar 1. The nervous system first. Behavior second. Your child's brain has 2 states during a meltdown: survival mode or learning mode. You cannot discipline a child into calm. You must calm them into discipline. When anxiety triggers survival mode, your child's brain literally shuts off access to the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, reasoning, and solving. Pillar 2. Emotional containment before emotional control. Children cannot self-regulate until they feel held emotionally. That doesn't mean coddling, it means safety. Japanese educators call this kokoro wo sukuru, creating heart space. When a child feels emotionally contained, their nervous system naturally settles. Pillar 3. Predictability reduces panic. Anxiety thrives on unpredictability. Even small changes, a different cereal bowl, a new babysitter, a fast transition, can set off alarms inside a child's brain. So when you see repetitive tantrums around routines, it's not defiance. It's the fear of uncertainty. Pillar 4. Behavior is communication. Research shows that before age 7, emotional expression often replaces emotional language. A child's meltdown is not the problem, it's the message. And when you learn to decode that message, everything becomes clearer. But watch what happens when you apply this framework. Tantrums that once lasted 30 minutes shrink to 5. Power struggles disappear. Transitions become smoother. And your child begins to feel understood instead of corrected. How to respond to anxiety-driven tantrums at home? 5 practical steps now. I'm going to be very specific here, because knowing the concept is one thing, but you need tools you can actually use at home. Step 1. Name the pattern, not the behavior. Instead of saying, "Stop crying," say your body feels overwhelmed right now. This shifts your child's brain out of shame and into awareness. Why it works? It reduces the amygdala's alarm by acknowledging the real cause. Here's what it looks like. Your child throws themselves on the floor. Instead of correcting, you say, "This feels like too much for you right now. I'm here." Immediately, the intensity drops. Step 2. Calm the nervous system before you talk. Your child cannot hear words during an anxiety spike, so offer sensory grounding. A slow hug, hand on the back, soft tone, not to stop them but to steady their system. Why? It works. Co-regulation activates your child's parasympathetic nervous system. Script: I'm right here. Let's breathe together. Now I know what you're thinking. What if they push me away? That's okay. You can stay close. Without touching, your presence is the anchor. Step. Create predictability during transitions. Most anxiety-driven tantrums happen during transitions, leaving the house, bedtime, turning off screens. So give them a predictable cue. Script: in 2 minutes, we're turning off the TV. I'll tell you when it's time. Why it works. The brain relaxes when it knows what's coming. Here's a real scenario. Instead of instantly announcing, "We're leaving now," you say, "First shoes, then car, then grandma's house." Anxiety drops before it peaks. Step 4. Use a containment phrase. This is powerful. A containment phrase is a short sentence that tells the child you're emotionally holding them. Example: "You're safe. I'm with you. This feeling will pass." Why it works. The child's brain internalizes your calm as its own. This is the heart of co-regulation. Step 5. Help them make sense after. Not during, once your child is calm. Then you teach. Not during the meltdown. Not while emotions are high. After script: your body felt scared when the room got loud. Next time, let's use our quiet signal. Why it works? The brain is now in learning mode, ready to absorb tools instead of fighting them. Will this work for my child? But my child is different. Yes, and that's exactly why this works. Co-regulation is not a parenting trick. It's a biological process. The research shows that all human nervous systems, regardless of temperament, respond to safety cues. This won't work in our culture. Here's what the research shows. Emotional safety is universal. Cultures may express it differently, but the brain doesn't care about culture. It cares about connection. I don't have time for this. I hear you. But co-regulation doesn't take more time. It saves you time. A meltdown handled with connection lasts minutes. A meltdown handled with correction can last an hour. The path to a calmer, more confident child. Remember that grocery store moment? The stare, the panic, the helplessness? Now imagine this. Instead, your child starts to spiral. You step in with calm confidence. You speak a few grounding words and their body begins to settle. No fight, no shame, no fear, just a connection. The key principle is simple. Anxiety-driven tantrums are not misbehavior. They are communicating. And when you respond to the message, not just the meltdown, everything changes. So here's your next step. Pick one tool, just one. Use it today. Watch what happens. That's the next piece most parents get wrong. You've got this in your child. They're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time.